21st century, which are just unbelievable bowlers. I remember sitting in my room in South Africa. We were playing a triangular series, West Indies, Pakistan and South Africa. And South Africa with 6 wickets left, 60 runs in 10 overs. And Waka Yunus had 5 and Wasim had 5, and you could turn the television off. It was over. It was over.
In Durban 1993.
Yes.
Yeah. So another man good with stats. So, G. Saqib bhai, now coming on to India. कैसे देख रहे हैं आज? Let's start now man-to-man comparison. आप इंडिया की टीम कैसे देखते हैं? शेखर धावन. People say that Ajinkya Rahane is probably better technically equipped, but Shekhar Dhawan obviously scores very freely and quickly. Or he was struggling recently.
Ajinkya Rahane को वो इसलिए लेते हैं जहाँ पे थोड़ा सा गेंद मूव कर रहा हो. मगर पहली choice for T20 is Shekhar Dhawan. If unless he is injured or he's out of the squad somehow or the other, then they will bring Ajinkya Rahane. Otherwise उसकी जगह ये बनती नहीं है अभी तक, क्योंकि शेखर धवन काफी कंसिस्टेंट परफॉर्मर है, वो कर रहा है. और उनकी जो एक टीम बनी हुई है धोनी की, जैसे अजय जडेजा ने कहा कि एक टीम बनी हुई है, धोनी चेंज नहीं करेगा, वो एक ही टीम को लेके जाएगा. और इस वक्त देखा जाए इंडिया के अंदर टीम जो है वो बहुत स्ट्रांग है. All the pundits and experts and everyone is talking about India, that India is very sort of strong at home. They and obviously the way they play, जो उनका स्टाइल है, they have the best spinner रविचंद्र, और फिर जडेजा आ जाता है बीच में, युवराज ऑलराउंडर है साथ में, वो भी अपना काम कर जाता है. तो फास्ट बॉलिंग में थोड़ा सा मुझे इनका इशू है कि फास्ट बॉलिंग वहां पे जाके स्ट्रगल करेगी इंडिया में.
But they have Mohammad Shami back now.
ठीक है, वो इंजरी के बाद आ रहा है, मगर इट्स अ बिग मेगा टूर्नामेंट. और शामी को जो है वो आते ही वो चीज नहीं. अगर आप शामी को कहें कि भाई शामी और मोहम्मद आमिर या किसी और के साथ मिला दें, अच्छा बॉलर है मगर वर्ल्ड क्लास बॉलर उसको नहीं कहेंगे आप शामी को. जैसे आशीष नेहरा है, वो काम कर जाता है अपना, अगर कंडीशन हो तो वो काम कर जाएगा, मगर वो आप वर्ल्ड क्लास की रैंक उसमें नहीं लेके आएंगे कि भाई ये पूरा मैच का पास ही बदल दे. शामी भी ऐसा ही है. उनकी फास्ट बॉलिंग थोड़ी ऐसी है जो कि लिमिटेशन के अंदर रहती है, मगर उनकी जो बैटिंग देखा जाए, उनका कैप्टन देखा जाए, उनकी टीम के अंदर जो कुछ ऐसे कैरेक्टर्स हैं जो कि बड़े स्ट्रांग हैं, उनकी पर्सनालिटी बड़ी स्ट्रांग है, उनका एटीट्यूड बहुत स्ट्रांग है, उनको मैच चेंज करना आता है. विराट है, युवराज है, धोनी है.
They have the game changers.
They have the game changers.
Well, Saqib bhai is not that happy with India's fast bowling, and there was an incident last week when Virat Kohli during the Asia Cup praised Mohammad Amir and thought that he was the best fast bowler in contemporary cricket. And then Rohit Sharma passed a statement that Jasprit Bumrah, he was better than Amir and he was the real talent. And day before yesterday he was hit for 52 in 4 overs, Bumrah. So probably India's fast bowling is not up to the mark if you see, because Ashish Nehra was lucky enough to get the ideal conducive conditions in Bangladesh. So how do you see that weaker link of the home team?
Yeah, no, I think Ashish Nehra, I was surprised to see him in the squad. I think he's been picked straight out of the IPL.
Yeah, and he's Saqib bhai's age.
Yeah, and so if the conditions suit him, so he's a little bit long in the tooth. He's got a few years under the belt, as we say.
Yeah.
But if the ball's swinging, he can do a job. He's got control. He's got experience. Jasprit Bumrah, I think. Again, he's an attacking bowler. He's going to go full at the stumps. If he gets those Yorkers right, can be a handful. But if he gets it slightly wrong, he's the type of guy that bowls at pace where you can really go. And you said 52 or 4 overs. He's also got that potential. So a little bit dangerous there. Mohammad Shami coming back. I'm not sure sort of where he's at. I haven't seen him bowling too much recently. So yeah, it's probably, to a degree, a little bit of a weak point, and I think that's why a lot of teams these days, I think, like to chase runs, because they don't feel teams can bowl you out. I think with T20, batsman's skill level has improved. We've seen new shots, the ramp, the reverse sweep, but I've been a bit disappointed with bowling. With the fast bowlers, I think their skill level hasn't moved with the game, and whether it's Test cricket one day or T20, it's still about execution, being able to deliver the ball you want to deliver right on that spot. And I think if bowlers can get back to bowling really good Yorkers, they're going to be dangerous. You see Mitchell Stark, Latif Malinga, when those guys bowl good Yorkers, they're still exceptional bowlers. So I'd like to see bowlers' skill level increase with the game, the same pace as what the batsmen. Obviously, with the wickets they're playing on, the flat, the bats. They say the bats are so much better quality. They hit the ball further these days. So there's things against the bowlers these days, but you know, you can control what you can control. And for a bowler, it's where he pitches that ball. And I think the skill of him in that respect isn't there.
Do you think, Brian, these laws rules like power play, should they be implemented in shorter version of cricket like one-days and T20s? Because like he said, that the bowlers, it has become virtually a nightmare for them. Because 4 overs and they're being
no
hit.
problem with that. Look at a nightmare.
All right.
You rule everyone inside the circle. No one's allowed.
You would have loved it. Right?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, over the years, I think that I've had a few periods when I went through bad luck with the umpires. You can imagine if they had you can review the decision. I knew on some occasions I was spared, but on other occasions, quite a few occasions, I was given the finger when I should not have been. So I think technology and all the advancement in the game, it's good for the game.
Okay. Ji Rashid bhai, how do you see? Because Brian thinks that these rules are pretty okay, good for the game. These are just...
कर सकते हैं कि क्योंकि अभी वनडे क्रिकेट में 5 फील्डर इनसाइड सर्कल कर दिया 11 ओवर से 48 ओवर तक, और फिर कैप्टनसी मुश्किल हो जाती है इसमें. कैप्टनसी आईसीसी कर रही है, यानी कि रूल्स बना के कैप्टन के 4 फील्डर बाहर रखने हैं. ठीक है, मैंने पहले सईद अजमल जैसे बॉल कर रहा है, वो अगर फील्डर मिड ऑफ पे एक है, ठीक है ना, वो उसको एक्स्ट्रा कवर मार लेता है. वो फील्डर जब यहाँ से निकाल के पीछे लेके जाएगा तो मिड विकेट ओपन हो जाती है. तो काफी एरिया खाली है. वनडे क्रिकेट की बात कर रहा हूँ. T20 में 4 फील्डर इनसाइड सर्कल है. लेकिन जैसे 75 वर्ल्ड कप, 79 वर्ल्ड कप, 83 वर्ल्ड कप देखा, 60 ओवर्स गेम होता था, उसमें सर्कल में सिस्टम नहीं था. और रिसेंटली जो 20 ईयर्स रिसेंटली जो मैंने मैचेस देखे हैं अभी सारे पुराने, उस पर टाइम रहता था बैट्समैन. जैसे आपने वर्ल्ड कप 92 में देखे हैं, जावेद मियांदाद, इमरान खान ने टाइम लिया, उसमें सर्कल को यूज नहीं किया उन्होंने. वो आराम से खेलते रहे. 20 ओवर में हमारे 50 रन थे. फिर हमने 50 ओवर में कितने कर लिए, 249 आई थिंक टारगेट दिया था. तो थोड़े से रन का जरूर फर्क पड़ा है, लेकिन हमारे प्लेयर्स पावर प्ले का फायदा उठाते हुए आउट बहुत होते हैं, चाहे वो ऑस्ट्रेलियंस हो, चाहे पाकिस्तानी हो, चाहे इंडियंस हो. बैटिंग की वो चीज नजर नहीं आ रही जो एक अब 15 ईयर्स पहले होते थे. वो आराम से टाइम लेते थे और सेंचुरीज की तादाद ज्यादा होती थी. हाँ, इंडियन का डिफरेंट केस है, जो कि वो अपने होम ग्राउंड पे जब खेलते हैं ज्यादा सेंचुरीज वो बनाते हैं. रोहित शर्मा हो जाए या विराट कोहली हो जाए, ये ज्यादा कर रहे हैं, धोनी है, ये अपने होम एडवांटेज उठाते हैं. लेकिन इसमें करेंगे नहीं क्योंकि अट्रैक्ट करते हैं क्राउड को, कि सर्कल में हम मारेंगे ऊपर से, थोड़ा अट्रैक्शन लेके आते हैं. लेकिन जब जैसे बांग्लादेश में मैचेस हो रहे हैं, उसमें विकेटों का फर्क आ जाता है बहुत. ठीक है, जैसे इंडिया में मैचेस होंगे, यहाँ पे तो आप पावर प्ले जो यूज नहीं करेगा वो नुकसान में रहेगा. इसे यूज करना चाहिए पावर प्ले को. पावर प्ले का मतलब क्या है, इसको हमें यूज करना है. मोस्टली जो स्ट्रेटेजी बनाते हैं ऑन द फील्ड यूज करना, ठीक है ना, यूज करना चाहिए. कि 6 ओवर सर्कल है, उसको यूज नहीं किया तो फिर आप 20 रन का डिफरेंस हो जाता है.
Okay. Now Rashid is of the view that it's good for the crowd and attracting the crowd and spectators, bringing them back to cricket, like these rules, power play and such rules. But he thinks that it's technically the captain is just there standing doing nothing, and the ICC is virtually captaining the team because bowlers they do not have much options.
I mean, I just captained the team in the Masters League, and we were bowling to Sawag in the first 6 overs, and Peterson, same guy who hit for 28. And we had a plan. I mean, we got deep mid on out, and I think we had somebody down at I think mid off as well. So mid on in, mid off out, and a man at square leg. And you know, he's trying to inside out the ball, and he got bowler. I think there's some sort of tactical you know, niceness about it, where, you know, you're confined to having 2 men out. Where do you put them? I think it's great. Yes, the batsman has the advantage. You know, he misses one over cover, he can still get away with it. But I think it adds, you know, a little bit more to the game. And as a captain, you know, you've got to be thinking. This is where the batsmen want to capitalize. How can you restrict them? How can you get a couple wickets to put them under pressure? Where you have number 4 and number 5 coming into bat. There's 2 overs left in the power play, but they got to block. They can't take the chance. So I think all in all, you know, it creates a lot of excitement and gives the game that little lift that it needs at the very beginning.
And Glenn is not happy at all.
Oh, I'm always happy.
Okay.
So no, I don't have any issue with that. Again, as I said, it comes back to execution. You sit in team meetings, you come up with bowling plans, how you're going to bowl this batsman, how you're going to bowl that batsman, in which period. But if you go out there and you can't execute those bowling plans, then they're useless. So that's why I think bowlers' execution skill level needs to improve, where they can really hit what we call our 3 lengths. You know, good length, bouncer and Yorker, especially the Yorker. If you've got that control, then you can set a field, and then a batsman has to take more risk hitting across the line or what have you. So that's what it comes down to, I think. And if that's what the rules are, then so be it. With 4 out in the final, the final stage, I know they've changed that now. That just means there's a quarter of the field or a section of the field that you cannot protect. So you have to bowl the delivery, which makes it hard for the batsman to hit to that area. So yeah, there's still a lot of thought processes and things go into it, and the captain can't just stand there and say, good luck, bowl what you want. Fieldsmen just spread. You still have to put a lot of thought into it, and the people who think the most, the team that thinks the most and can execute the best, wins on the day.
Whenever Mohammad Hafiz starts thinking, he gets out.
Well, there's some people you don't want to think.
Talking about power play, हाँ जी, power play का ये है, मैं ये समझता हूँ, मैं अपना ज़ाती एक्सपीरियंस बता रहा हूँ. मैं जिस क्लब से खेला वो बड़ी छोटी ग्राउंड थी. लाहौर में मजीठिया रेलवे स्टेशन के बिल्कुल करीब, बहुत छोटी, लेग साइड पे सामने से भी बहुत छोटी थी. मुझे उसका बड़ा एडवांटेज हुआ. छोटी बाउंड्री होने की वजह, ऊपर से सीमेंटेड पिच थी, छक्के लगते थे, रमजान टूर्नामेंट होते थे, उसकी वजह से मैं कुछ ना कुछ डिफरेंट प्लान्स बनाता रहता था. तो मैं ये समझता हूँ कि जो मैंने दूसरा छत पे सीखा, उसको मैंने जब उस जगह पे जाके एग्जीक्यूट किया तो मेरा एक गेम प्लान बन गया. मुझे बड़ा फायदा हुआ. और मैं अब ये समझता हूँ, मेरा इस पे यकीन है कि जो स्पिनर या फास्ट बॉलर पावर प्ले में अच्छी बॉलिंग करता है, वो मिडल में आराम से कंट्रोल कर लेगा. अगर वो पावर प्ले में बॉलिंग उसको करनी नहीं आती, मिडल में उसका कोई प्लान नहीं, उसने 5 बाहर निकाले हुए 4 सर्कल के अंदर, वो आके गेंद फेंक के चला जाएगा. अगर T20 में आपने किसी को कहना है कि ये बहुत अच्छा बॉलर है, चाहे वो स्पिनर है चाहे फास्ट बॉलर, आप उसको देखेंगे कि पावर प्ले में वो बैट्समैन को कैसे कंट्रोल कर रहा है और डेथ बॉलिंग में वो कैसे कर रहा है. अगर उसने पावर प्ले में नहीं बॉलिंग की और डेथ में नहीं की, बीच में कर रहे हैं, तो आप समझ लो कि ये वीक लिंक है उनका. हाँ, उसकी एक गेम होगी, मगर ये जो गेम है उसकी बचने वाली गेम होगी. यहां पे आपका दिमाग चल रहा होगा कि मैंने बैट्समैन से बचना भी कैसे और उसको आउट भी करना कैसे है, क्योंकि आपके ऊपर ऐसी सिचुएशन आपको मिलेगी पावर प्ले में. अगर एक विकेट गिरी है तो आप 3-4 गेंदों में पॉजिटिव सॉर्ट ऑफ माइंड के साथ जाएंगे कि मैंने इसको आउट कैसे करना है. अगर सिचुएशन फंसी हुई है तो उस फंसने में आपको बचना कैसे वो आएगा. बीच वाली गेम में आपको पता होता है पावर प्ले और डेथ 16 से पहले या 17 से पहले आपको पता है कि इस वक्त गेम की क्या सिनेरियो चल रहा है और आपने कैसे चलना. हो सकता है उस वक्त आपको ये भी पता होगा कि 1 ओवर में 1 बाउंड्री चाहिए होगी, 2-3 नहीं, अनलेस कि बैट्समैन एक डिफरेंट किस्म का जो एक ही ओवर में 3-3, 4-4 बाउंड्री चाह रहा होगा, वो आपके सामने उसका प्लान होता है. तो मैं ये समझता हूं कि ये जो पावर प्ले है, ये आपकी गेम में इनोवेशन लेके आएगा. आपको डिफरेंट तरीके से अपना गेम प्लान जो उसको एग्जीक्यूट करना है, ये आपकी बड़ी हेल्प करेगा. तो स्पिनर्स खास तौर पे, क्योंकि मेरा डिपार्टमेंट स्पिन का है, जो पाकिस्तानी जितने भी हैं जो खेल रहे हैं, मैं उनको ये कहूंगा कि डेथ में और पावर प्ले में जरूर बॉलिंग करें, बीच वाला आसान हो जाएगा.
So they have gone against you, Rashid. Right? They just got together. No, captain if he is shrewd, he could really make.
बहुत अच्छे कैप्टन है, धोनी एक कैप्टन है, लेकिन बाकी जितने भी कैप्टन हैं ना, वो जो अगर मैच देखते हैं तो नजर नहीं आती वो कैप्टन थी. लेकिन जो चेंज आया है क्रिकेट में 2000 से पहले की और अभी, बॉलर का पेस कम हुआ है. चंद बॉलर अभी बाकी है, न्यूजीलैंड के पास है, या ऑस्ट्रेलियन स्टार्क, मिचेल स्टार्क है, या आमिर हो गया, बहुत कम हो, पेस कम हो गई है. और वो लेंथ बॉलर हो गए हैं. अपनी एक जैसे ना कंप्यूटराइज बॉलिंग करते हैं वो बॉलर थे, लेकिन यॉर्कर बहुत खत्म हो गई है. सिर्फ मिचेल स्टार्क हो गया या मलिंगा हो गया, एक आध और करते हैं. एक आप 90s में आ जाते हो ना, यॉर्कर बहुत ही, ये या चाहे कर्टली अमरोज या बिशप है और वसीम अकरम, वका, यूनुस, ग्लेन, सबको यॉर्कर आती थी. लेकिन ये अभी मिसिंग लग रही है मुझे कि यॉर्कर कितने बॉलर करते हैं. हमें ये आइडिया लगा ना कि इस वर्ल्ड कप में
रिवर्स स्विंग खत्म हो गई
ना, रिवर्स स्विंग डजंट मैटर, लेकिन यॉर्कर तो मलिंगा तो न्यू बॉल से भी यॉर्कर करता था ना, तो इसमें कोई वो नहीं है. लेकिन यॉर्कर को मैं देख रहा हूँ कि 2-3 बॉलर सिर्फ यॉर्कर्स कर रहे हैं आजकल.
Okay. Now, before we take another break, Saqlain thinks that he started playing at the club level and the ground was too small. There was virtually, the leg side boundary was almost near the pitch. So he said that he started innovating, just not to be hit for a 6 or boundaries. And he developed that dusra and he perfected that on a cement track. So he thinks that if you want to be a quality spinner, then in T20s either bowl in the power play or just opt for the death bowling. And Rashid is of the opinion that when Glenn and you people were playing, they were much better in express bowlers and they could bowl and they had effective Yorkers. But now the pace has come down, barring a couple of fast bowlers. Now Mitchell Stark is one of them, or Mohammad Amir or Wahab Riazi, they're express bowlers, or Adam Milner of New Zealand. And he thinks that Yorkers, they have gone out and the bowlers, they have become more like computerized length bowlers. So that is his view.
Yeah, and I agree with, in respects to Yorkers, I still think it's a very dangerous delivery. The only thing is, because I don't think bowlers practice it enough in the nets, bowling legitimate deliveries, not bowling no balls, that they're not used to hitting that exact length. And if you get it slightly wrong, that's when the batsmen get under it and hit you down, down the ground for 6, or it turns into a full toss. So margin for error with a Yorker is a lot less than any other delivery, whereas if you bowl a slower ball, Yorker, bumper, you don't really have to hit it exactly. You can still get away with it.
My opinion, what do you have to say about this, Glenn? You bowled, during our playing days, it was 10 overs. The limited over game, you had 10 overs. For the first 7, batsman was not looking to take you out. And looking to, if you bowl up front, yes, you might try to get some runs in the first 15. But then, you try to go run a ball during the middle overs. It's only the last 3 overs coming down, after 40 overs been bowled, that people are going to try to get to you. And then is when you employ the Yorker. With the T20 overs, from the time you pick the ball up in your hand, somebody's after you. So are you going to try to run up there and bowl 24 Yorkers, or are you going to try to mix it up? So that's why I believe that they're losing a little bit of the ability to bowl the Yorkers, but they've brought in a lot of different other deliveries into play. The slow ball, the back of the arm, short ball, that, you think it's, you're going to get in and it does not get to you in time. So I believe with that, with a new version of the game, you're going to lose something. Similar with the batsmen. The technique is going out of the window, but they're playing a lot more shots. I thought I could play one ball maybe from third man through to mid-wicket. You look at De Villiers, he can play 360 degrees.
Right.
This is where the game is going.
No, you're right. Yeah. There's more slower balls, but it'd be interesting to see a T20 match where they came in and bowled 120 Yorkers. See what happens and execute every one perfectly.
60 of those Yorkers will be full tosses.
So that's a good one. But I think cricket in your times also changed, because I remember one of our batsmen with us in the, he scored 105 78 minutes, and you scored 500 in 474 minutes. So you scored 500 in 474 minutes. He got to his 100 in 558 minutes.
It's a world record, huh?
Yeah. And Saqib obviously was the best batsman. 78 in 3 sessions.
Again, I will say the same comments. I was teaching the manners to
Okay. So we take a break.
How to say sorry, how to say thank you.
We take a break, and we have with us the great Brian Charles Lara, and equally great Glenn Magrath, and our distraction, because we were talking very nicely about New Zealand and India match, and then came Rashid Latif and took us to the 1990s and the technical and tactical part of cricket. And of course, Saqib, he's never happy with me. Take a break, we'll come back. Game on it. Welcome back. You're watching Game On Hai, and there's a revelation. David Warner, does he have a Lamborghini?
I think it was in the media back home that he does. So I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that he does.
And probably he's one of those very few cricketers who started as a T20 player and went on to become one of the better Test match cricketers. The other way around.
Yeah, when you first saw him, or when I first saw him play, I thought he's a one-day player, T20, but now he's really established himself as a Test player. So he's brought his game in. He's better defence. Obviously an attacking player, but he's doing exceptionally well at the longer version of the game, which is good to see.
And off the field, he was like Saqib Bhai. Yeah.
Bit of a loose cannon.
All right. In his greener days, Saqib bhai used to be a bit naughty, no? Okay.
I don't know English. Is he? I don't know English.
English, yeah, right.
Going back to that David Warner point, we have a player called Pollard, Kieran Pollard, who we were on tour. He was scoring hundreds in 4-day cricket off 80 balls but was 4-day cricket. Today he's never ever played a test match. The West Indies categorize him as a one-day player, T20 player, and that's it.
That's unique.
We're talking about 2007. It was actually, we were in Pakistan 2006 when he was playing in our local regional tournament, scoring runs in 4-day cricket. He got picked for the World Cup that year, 2007, and now 9 years later, and he's never played one test match. So we've never actually taken that talent, and made it into test cricket. David Warner, I suppose, when you look at him, you think there's no test cricket in this guy, but he's developed, he's consolidated his technique, and he's making a lot of test runs. One of the guys that I'm worried about, every time he goes to bat.
And Australia, they just winched Usman Khwaja out of Pakistan. And you people took him there. And now he made a tremendous return to international cricket.
Yeah, no, Uzi, when he came back, he was scoring 100 after 100. So
what's the reason? Your infrastructure is too good? Your first-class cricket is very competitive? Or
I like to think so. There's, we still have grassroots bringing young cricketers through. I think the Cricket Academy in Australia still does an exceptional job. And, first-class cricket's always been pretty strong.
Okay. So now getting back to our New Zealand and India match, your favorite team tonight?
I'd like to see New Zealand do well, but I think India will probably be too strong in their own conditions, home conditions.
Okay. And you really think it's going to be a batsman-dominated game, because Nagpur pitch could be really tricky?
Yeah, no, I've played one test match up in Nagpur, and it was my 100th test. And I think the groundsman must have looked after me, because there was a good covering of green grass on that. On that, I dare say there probably won't be too much green grass there tonight. Like we said before, if the ball swings around a bit, I think Tim Southey and Trent Bolt could be handfuls. You mentioned Milne, who bowls a good pace. It's not going to be a walkover, but with the batsmen that India have in Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli.
Shikhar Dhawan
and Dhoni coming in down the order. They should be too strong on the day.
And India, they have Ravindra Jadeja batting at number 7, and he has scored 2 first-class triple centuries. So you could well imagine the depth of India's batting. So how do you see India faring today against
I want to see a good match. And sometimes when a superstar leads a team, like McCullum, it tends to bring the team together.
Okay.
You can get maybe a special performance. India definitely would start tonight as the favourites, and they're going to go in very confident. But I want to see it in. I want to see, the New Zealanders give a little bit of fright to them. If they don't go on to win the game, but make it very, very competitive, and that's what I want to see tonight.
Well, New Zealand, they are still not decided about having either Adam Milne or Mitchell McClanagan, and Mitchell Santner or the oldie Nathan McCullum. So whom you will prefer? McCullum or Santner? Because Santner could bat as well.
I think McCullum, just to keep the McCullum name in the game.
That's a good. And Ish Sodhi, right arm leg break bowler. Would you mind playing him here at Nagpur?
Well, again, depends on the conditions on the wicket.
Yeah.
If it's going to turn, we might see more spinners take part, and I think you'll see spinners opening the bowling as well.
Yeah, because he may lose one of our experts, because he's ready to make an international comeback. Yeah, he has no knees left, and about one ankle is also gone,
and the head gone as well.
Yeah, both ankles, both knees, both
and head gone as well.
I played cricket against this guy in the last 6 months.
All right,
from about November last year to just recently.
Yeah,
I'm sure his runs per over is below 4.
Yeah.
His wickets tally is large, so don't rule him out. One ankle, one hand, he can still do the business.
Apparently he's got a dodgy big toe as well, I hear.
All right.
I don't know why. But
I'll share that story. Once, I think 97, 98, when we toured to Australia, Wasim Akram, he sent me as a night watchman. Mr. Pigeon, he was falling from the pavilion and first ball on my toe, and he broke my toe.
Oh.
Whenever I wear my shoes, whenever I take my socks off, my kiddies say, "What happened to your toe?" Uncle Glenn Magrath broke my toe. So the man is sitting in front of me.
Bill has to go to him.
Yeah.
It's out of my control. As soon as I let that ball go, it's out of my control.
Yeah.
So Rashid bhai, how do you take? कैसे देख रहे हैं आप इंडिया न्यूजीलैंड?
इंडिया स्ट्रांग है काफी, मैच से पहले ही तक
कोई नई बात कर रही हैं?
नहीं, मैं उसको थोड़ा सा डाउन भी करूंगा ना.
अच्छा, डाउन भी करना. ओके.
20 रन्स ऊपर ही रहते हैं क्योंकि ये रन बॉल बनाते हैं. बॉल को डॉट बॉल कम खेलते हैं इंडियन प्लेयर जितने भी बैट्समैन हैं. लेकिन एडवांटेज जो अगर देखते हैं, अगर गप्पल रुकता है ना तो वो रिकवर कर देगा सारी जितने भी न्यूजीलैंड के, क्योंकि ब्रेंडन के ना होने से बड़ा फर्क पड़ेगा. वन ऑफ द बेस्ट बैट्समैन T20 या वनडे का क्रिकेट का गुजरा है वो. लेकिन बॉलिंग में थोड़ा वीकर इंडिया है, इसलिए हमें मानना पड़ेगा. फास्ट बॉलिंग में स्पेशली नेहरा विकेट टेकिंग बॉलर, मतलब विकेट टेक के लिए उसको रखा हुआ है. लेकिन 2 ओवर्स के बाद मतलब 2 ओवर और बड़े मुश्किल हो जाएंगे उसके. बुमराह है, उसके बाद जडेजा और अश्विन सबसे डेंजरस बॉलर है. पांड्या मतलब के ग्रासी विकेट पे ठीक है पांड्या, लेकिन फ्लैट विकेट पे मैं नहीं समझता कि उतना ज्यादा इफेक्टिव होगा. मैच कंपेटिटिव होगा, अच्छा होगा, लेकिन चांसेस जो हैं वो इंडिया के ज्यादा हैं. 6 ओवर इस मैच में, 6 ओवर जो टॉप के जो है पावर प्ले के, जो अच्छा खेलेगा वो मैच जीतेगा.
So Colin Munro, don't you think he has the ability?
जबरदस्त प्लेयर है मनरो है इनके पास. रॉन्ची है, रॉन्ची भी मतलब डाउन दी ऑर्डर.
Again, New Zealand imported from Australia, Luke Ronchi.
Yeah,
Ronchi,
I've seen Luke Ronchi a little bit, but he's played for New Zealand for quite some time now. So
Okay.
From
keep
over
it.
north.
But he played matches for Australia.
Yeah, quite a while back.
विलियमसन कैप्टन भी है, प्लेयर अच्छा है, लेकिन वो थोड़ा टाइम ज्यादा लेता है. ओपन में एज ओपन टाइम रहता है. बॉलिंग अच्छी है, जैसे बात की टिप साउदी है, बोल्ट है, ये अच्छे बॉलर मिल रहे हैं. स्पिनर्स पे नो डाउट इनको प्रॉब्लम होगा. कोरी एंडरसन है, कोरी एंडरसन का बोलो कि वो देता है बॉल. ग्रांट इलियट है इनके पास. तो टीम दोनों की इक्वली है, लेकिन होम एडवांटेज इंडिया को है. क्राउड तकरीबन 30,000 क्राउड है. उसके बाद होम एडवांटेज जो पिचेस पे खेलते हैं उनको आइडिया बहुत ज्यादा है. तो एडवांटेज इंडिया को जरूर है, लेकिन हम अंडर एस्टिमेट नहीं कर सकते न्यूजीलैंड की टीम.
So it's a diplomatic statement from Rashid Latif that India has an advantage, but he is not underrating New Zealand. He thinks that New Zealand's bowling is quite potent as compared to India's batting.
विकेट टेकिंग बॉलर है,
वर्ल्ड क्लास.
विकेट टेकिंग बॉलर है. शुरू के 3 या 4 अगर आउट करते हैं 6-7 ओवर के अंदर, तो फिर न्यूजीलैंड मैच में आ जाएगी.
And he also thinks that the match is going to be decided in the first 6 overs. Whosoever does good in the first 6 overs, they are going to go all the way.
डेफिनेटली इंडिया जो है वो पिच बनाएगा.
मैंने आपसे सवाल नहीं पूछा, आप
इसी को मैं आगे
I did not ask the question.
यार आप जीरा ब्लेड बन जाते हो यार, एकदम ही जीरा ब्लेड बन जाते हो. राशिद भाई की बात को थोड़ा सा आगे लेके जाऊंगा. इन्होंने अपनी कंडीशंस तो जाहिर है होम क्राउड है तो एडवांटेज तो लेंगे पिच विच में भी और दूसरी चीजों में भी. और मैं ये समझता हूं कि अगर पिच ये फ्लैट ही बनाएंगे ताकि टर्न हो, कुछ इसी तरह का हो, ऐसा कर सकते हैं.
Saqi bhai, let's correct ourselves. Now the pitches, they are not made by the local groundsmen.
मगर उसमें ये होगा ना, देखें वो हाँ नहीं, उसमें पिच अगर बन रही है ना,
आईसीसी का मतलब भी इंडियन क्रिकेट काउंसिल,
हाँ इंडियन क्रिकेट काउंसिल आईसीसी. देखें अगर जो पिच है यानी आप वो ये नहीं कि बिल्कुल ही रड़ा बना दी जाएगी या बिल्कुल ही घास आ जाएगी, मगर ऐसी होगी जो कि अच्छी T20 की पिच होगी जिसमें दोनों साइड को, मगर अगर अच्छी पिच बनती है तो उसमें इंडिया को एज हो सकता है क्योंकि उनके स्पिनर्स जो हैं उनसे ज्यादा बेहतर है. मगर मैं ये समझता हूं अगर न्यूजीलैंडर्स, ये जो 3 फास्ट बॉलर हैं इनके, बुमराह, आशीष नेहरा और पांड्या, ये कोई क्वालिटी के बॉलर नहीं है. न्यूजीलैंड में मैं समझता हूं कि ये इनको अटैक करने के लिए आएंगे. बाकी जडेजा और युवराज सिंह ये ओके बॉलर हैं. आप इसको ये नहीं कह सकते ये गेम चेंजर बॉलर हैं या वो ऐसी प्रेशर सिचुएशन में जनाब वो आपको पकड़ के रख लें. ये पार्ट टाइम बॉलर हैं जडेजा और युवराज सिंह, ये यानी काम कर जाते हैं, मगर वो चीज नहीं जो आशीष नेहरा वो अश्विन है. अश्विन को सिर्फ देख के खेले, ठीक है. ये 4 जो 3 फास्ट बॉलर हैं इनके अगर टूट के पड़ गए ना ये, तो मैं समझता हूं कि, और अगर ये टॉस जीत के ये करते हैं बॉलिंग और चेज करते हैं और इन तीनों को ऊपर से तोड़ दें, ये 3 जो हैं ये ऐसे, इनके पास कोई इतना लंबा चौड़ा एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, ठीक है. एक बॉलिंग का अपना जो लिमिटेशन के अंदर काम कर लेते हैं, मगर गेम को चेंज करना या गेम को कंट्रोल करना वो इनके अंदर नहीं। मैं ये समझता हूं कि धोनी जो है वो इनको सही इस्तेमाल कर जाता है, मगर ये पड़ गए न्यूजीलैंडर इन तीनों को। तो स्पिनर्स में युवराज और वो है, वो उनको आराम से मनूवर करते रहे, एक आध बाउंड्री वो देंगे। सिर्फ एक बॉलर के ऊपर जो है अगर इंडिया अपने कंट्री के अंदर अच्छा करेगा तो वो इनका वो अश्विन ही है, जो कि गेम बना रहा होगा या चेंज कर रहा होगा। अगले जो इवन आशीष नेहरा को ले आओ या शामी को ले आओ, शामी भी ठीक है बॉलर, वो ये नहीं है आप उसको मोहम्मद आमिर की लीग में या वहाब रियाज की लीग में आप लेके चले जाए, या जो इनका ऑस्ट्रेलियंस का जो है स्टार को बोल्ड शोल्ड, ये उनकी कैटेगरी का नहीं है, ये उनसे नीचे है। बैटिंग में ठीक है वो है, अगर ये टॉस जीत के बैटिंग न्यूजीलैंड को देता है इंडिया और इंडिया चेज करता है तो फिर इंडिया जो है बहुत है।
न्यूजीलैंड के मेरे ख्याल से मिडिल ऑर्डर में लेफ्ट हैंडर खेलने चाहिए दो, क्योंकि युवराज करेगा या जडेजा करेगा, लेफ्ट हैंड बैट्समैन होगा ना वो पिक अच्छी कर सकता है कि मिड ऑन से लेके मिड विकेट या स्क्वायर लेग। अगर राइट हैंडर होंगे तो मुश्किल हो सकती है इनको। और पिच ये मेरे ख्याल से सिमिलर टू बॉम्बे की होगी, क्योंकि महाराष्ट्र सेम प्रोविंस है, तो अभी पिछला जो मैच हुआ है थोड़ी सी ग्रास रखी थी,
वो कह रहे हैं ओवरकास्ट कंडीशंस एट नागपुर,
तो थोड़ी सी बाइंडिंग जरूर होगी पिच में, लेकिन पिच का हम देख के बता सकते हैं, जब पिच रिपोर्ट आएगी उसके ऊपर हम बता सकते हैं।
सो सकलैन थिंक्स दैट इंडिया दे हैव नो बॉलर्स other than Ravichandran Ashwin, because he thinks if Martin Guptill he starts firing at all cylinders and from the top, they could really take Indian attack apart, because he's not confident about Hardik Pandya or Jasprit Bumrah or even Mohammad Shami or Ashish Nehra. So that's what he's thinking. And Rashid thinks that if New Zealand they have two left-handers in the middle order, that could neutralize Yuvraj Singh and Ravindra Jadeja. So how do you take that?
Yeah, fair enough. I've done a little bit of work with Jasprit Bumrah and also Hardik Pandya. So I think with Bumrah, he's got such an unusual action, which it takes a little while for batsmen to get used to that. First season, it's always going to be a little bit tougher than the second. So again, it depends on how well he hits his Yorkers. He's an attacking bowler. He's going to bowl full at the stumps and try to use his pace. So he's got to get that right. Pandya, I like his attitude. He's got a real positive attitude, and he's changed his action a bit because he had back problems, and I like the way he's going. So I like his attitude, but again, I'm not sure whether India like setting targets or chasing. In the past, I think they've always chased better, but I actually see them. They don't mind batting first now as well. So I think we'll see a lot of teams, if they win the toss, they'll have a bowl. Okay. And they'll back their batsmen to chase down the scores. So maybe today might
you
be
talked
like
about Bumrah becoming more predictable in the second season. Do you think he's going to last for another
Not so
season?
much predictable.
His action is kinetically horrible.
Well,
physically.
Yeah. Well, you look at Latif Malinga, first season, everyone, where's he coming? He's coming from right in front of the umpire. But once you see a guy, the second season's always the toughest for them, because batsmen have seen them. They know where the ball's coming from. It's not quite as a unique experience as what it was the previous year.
But don't you think Bumrah's action is more injury prone?
Well, he's got to be strong with that action. He's got to really, and for a fast bowler, you've got to be strong through the core and the glutes, and he definitely has to be with the action he has. But he can generate a fair bit of pace, and he bowls at length, which is always attacking. So, he's got the potential to.
So, Brian, your views now.
I think you can pick at weaknesses from the Indian team, but I look more at the holistic picture, the atmosphere, the opening of the World Cup. I mean, intimidation towards. In New Zealand may feel, opening a World Cup against India, the size of the crowd. So that's where India will have the advantage. I don't think the little nitty-gritty of who's going to bowl left-arm spin against left-arm batsman, anything like that's going to play. Is if New Zealand could stand up to that sort of atmosphere, the tension inside that stadium, can they do it against the host nation? Right? So I put India better equipped at this time to handle what's going to go on tonight.
All right.
But I think New Zealand, with the brand of cricket they play, that no fear, just back themselves. I think if anyone can handle that, I reckon they're one of the teams that won't suffer from that pressure.
But if you see T20, it's all about, when the bowler is bowling in T20, they think that, there is no pressure. There is no pressure. Obviously, the batsman will come after you. So, and the batsmen, they go and they, burn their old cylinders, there is no pressure. I think the real pressure is in one-day cricket or Test cricket rather than T20.
Yeah.
Anyone can go, like newcomers can go in there, and it's understandable as a coaching point of view that, you know, when I started first T20 for Surrey, and our slogan in the dressing room was 2020 go for plenty. So don't be afraid or scared that, you know, obviously the batsman will come over, but you go and play and enjoy your game.
Yeah.
So it's understandable that it will be a lot of crowd and pressure opening of the game as well. But I think
Brian has a point, because 13 out of the touring party, they have less than 15 matches under their belt having played in India. So the electric atmosphere he's talking about, so probably that's going to impact them.
Definitely, but the way I think the way New Zealanders are playing, I think they will take that sort of pressure.
जी राशिद भाई,
दोनों ठीक हैं अपनी जगह पे.
चलो. He says each one of you is right. So let's go home.
Hold.
Sitting on the fence.
No, just one more back to Saqlain.
Yeah.
I believe that there are less team changes in T20 games compared to Test matches and the 50-over game, because it's so short. As you said, the pressure is on throughout. You know, you're going to drop a guy because of one or two bad games. You know, but in Test cricket, you can tell, you know, immediately if a guy's out of form, and you get rid of him and give somebody else a chance. So I believe that in that T20 version of the game, a lot of people get away with some weak performances. Maybe 1 in every 5 they give you something pretty good, and they sort of maintain their play.
The only exemption is Pakistan.
They change the team all the time.
Yeah, all the time. In every match they change it. Right.
नहीं, दोनों अपनी जगह ठीक है. उसको लॉजिक ये है कि ब्रायन ने जैसे बात की, हम और वेस्ट इंडीज है ना, हम ऐसे एटमॉस्फेयर में थोड़ा सा अंडर प्रेशर आते हैं. लेकिन ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड हो गई, या इंग्लैंड को भी आप ले ले, अब वो इंजॉय करते हैं, फेलियर से नहीं घबराते. इनका जो नया जो ट्रेंड चला है इन 3 टीम्स का, ये फेलियर से नहीं घबराते. और स्ट्रेटेजी न्यूजीलैंड की जो है ना, वो 15 ओवर्स की है. इनके बैटर्स के जो है कि 5-6 बैट्समैन है, वो 15 ओवर्स टारगेट है कि हमारा टारगेट 15 ओवर्स है. उनका खेलने का स्टाइल जो चेंज हुआ है, वो मैक्सिमम पे जा रहे हैं. देखिए आपने अगर 140 चेंज करने थे, 13 ओवर में चेंज कर दिए उन्होंने अगेन, तो उनका स्टाइल चेंज हो गया है. तो वो टारगेट रखते हैं 15 ओवर. ये प्लस पॉइंट है न्यूजीलैंड का, जो कि अभी तक किसी टीम ने और ने अडॉप्ट ही नहीं किया हुआ. तो गप्टिल है या विलियमसन है या एंडरसन है, ये खेलते हैं, मतलब कि फेलियर से नहीं घबराते, अपना गेम खेलते हैं. 15 ओवर का टारगेट होता है. जो बाकी 5 ओवर हैं वो दूसरों के लिए छोड़ के जाते हैं, तो इसलिए इनका स्कोर मोस्टली 180-200 तक की करते हैं.
Okay, so before we take this break, Rashid thinks that New Zealand, Australia, they are the teams, and even England, they are fearless now. They are not scared of failures, unlike West Indies and Pakistan. So probably such an electric atmosphere may not impact a Kiwi or an Aussie, rather the way it does in case of a West Indian or a Pakistani. Do you agree with that contention?
I agree with that, but I totally disagree in who I believe has the better chance. I think Pakistan and the West Indies, that volatile nature they play in this part of the world, they're going to lose some matches, but as long as they get down to that knockout stage where they need to win that match on that day, I would back a West Indies or a Pakistan against maybe an England, New Zealand, Australia. They would be a little bit more consistent. They would give a lot more fight throughout the tournament. But the West Indies and Pakistan teams over the years, if you remember the 1992 World Cup, you know, we beat Pakistan in the very first match. They could have been out a few matches later. And with that sort of inconsistency, you never know when they're going to pounce. And those are going to be my dark horses in this tournament.
All right. So you agree, because Australia, according to Brian, stands little chance. Pakistan, they could be the favorites.
Never write the Aussies off. I'll always back them no matter what. But, but yeah, I do agree with Brian in respects to Pakistan and to West Indies, because just let them go. The natural talent there, and I think you look at the fast bowlers that Pakistan has in Mohammed
Amir, Wahab Riaz,
Wahab Riaz, Irfan,
Mohammed Irfan.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I think they've got a quality fast bowling attack. So, and I think it'll come down if you've got a quality bowling attack, they're going to win matches for you. Whereas I think batting these days, everyone can bat, everyone can score runs quickly, but if you've got a bowling attack that can really go in there and do the job and really take wickets, you can upset a few teams. And Pakistan on their day are dangerous. On their day, they're woeful. West Indies are dangerous, but the other teams probably a little bit more consistency, because the way they go about business, but yeah, they do feel pressure too.
Yeah.
Any batsman-friendly tournament is going to be won by bowlers. Any bowler-friendly tournament, the batsmen are the ones who are going to do the job. And this, I believe, is going to be in favour of the batsmen. So a team with a good bowling attack, very disciplined bowling attack, would be the team to watch.
Okay. And how important could be the toss today?
Well, I haven't seen the pitch. I haven't walked out in Nagpur yet.
Okay. All right. We will soon take you to Nagpur.
Glenn played on a green strip. I played on a bare strip when I last played a test match there. So I think that would definitely dictate how I feel about, you know, the toss and the match. But you know, just my recollection is you want to get out there and bat as quickly as possible in T20 games, especially if it's, you know, in favour of the batsman.
So why did you send? Because while the toss was happening at Nagpur, Saqib Bhai was trying to convince us that he is not scared of his wife. This is what he told us.
I love her.
Okay.
She's my life.
No Tim Southee, no Trent Boult, no Mitchell McClanagan. So where is the bowling?
So that argument goes out the window of Boult and Southee. If the conditions suit, they'll start swinging the ball. So to me, that tells me there's no grass on that wicket. Obviously, Kane Williamson thinks it's a used. Well, he said it was a used wicket, and he thinks it's going to get slower and take turn as the game goes on. So he wants to get a score on the board and then go out there and defend it. So we'll see how he goes. Dhoni, on the other hand, didn't seem to be too fussed. Then again, I've never seen him, you know, too fussed anyway. He seems to be pretty, you know, pretty controlled.
Other than emphasizing upon the fact that to him Ravindra Jadeja is a regular bowler. So you really think so? He's a regular slow leg?
Well, yeah, you've got to talk it up in that. You're not going to go out and say you don't trust him. But I think the one good thing listening to that is India have won 10 of their last 11 T20 matches. So that gives confidence to the team, and you get on a bit of a roll, and that should help them or carry them through this tournament. Anyway.
But Jadeja releases the ball from here. So how could you just say no up and over? And so how could you say he's a regular bowler?
He's not going to get much bounce. They're going to keep low, aren't they? So,
all right. So Brian, don't you think it's strange? No,
very strange. And I was just playing with the words. Was it used or new? And but I mean, Glenn heard the same. It was a used track, which is surprising for really the first big match of the tournament, and that definitely influenced Williamson thinking, getting the runs on the board, seeing if the wicket was to break up a little bit more, and use more of his slower bowlers. Strange team, but I'm sure that they've thought about it and assessed the situation really well. Started on a good foot by winning the toss. Let's hope that they can put something good on the board.
Don't you think that chasing could be difficult on such a track?
It could be if it's a very good total. I mean, as I said earlier on in the past, as a captain, I like looking at runs on the board and defending it, you know, and maybe he feels the same. And, you know, anything in excess of 150, 160 in India could pose a bit of a problem in a T20 game.
And I think also he'd like to see his batsmen on a bit of a fresher wicket rather than one that's turning, so they can really sort of, you know, hit through the line. And I think they will start with probably the spinners. But on a track that's not turning as much, it might be a little bit easier for the New Zealand upper order batsmen.
Okay, जी
जैसे टेस्ट क्रिकेट या वनडे क्रिकेट में बैटिंग पहले ही करनी चाहिए. मोस्टली सक्सेसफुल टीम हैं, सबने पहले बैटिंग, लेकिन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता T20 में सेकंड बैटिंग ना ज़्यादा बेहतर रहती है. लेकिन इनकी अपनी स्ट्रेटजी है न्यूजीलैंड की, और मोस्टली जो बैट्समैन होते हैं ना, बैट्समैन वो चाहते हैं कि फ्रेश विकेट पे जैसे बात की है उस पर पहले बैटिंग करके एक टोटल हम लगा दें. तो अगर ये अच्छा मतलब एक टारगेट अगर चेज करने जाए मे भी प्रेशर हो, लेकिन अभी तो इनके पास टारगेट नहीं है. अपना खेलेंगे जिस तरह न्यूजीलैंड में खेलते हैं उसी तरह ये ट्राई करेंगे, अच्छा टोटल लगा दें. मे भी बाउंड्री बड़ी हो यहाँ पे, अभी पता नहीं है, लेकिन मे भी बाउंड्री बड़ी हो. तो इंडियन बैट्समैन टाइम अच्छा करते हैं गैप में. नोट किया होगा आपने, कहीं पे भी खेलेंगे, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में या अभी बांग्लादेश में देखा, साउथ अफ्रीका में, ये टाइम गैप में करते हैं अच्छा. लेकिन स्पिनर्स को पूरी हिट मारनी पड़ेगी. जब आप मिड विकेट या इधर मारेंगे चांसेस आउट होने के जरूर होंगे. जाहिर सी बात है पिच ड्राई होगी, जिसकी वजह से इन्होंने टीम साउदी का एक फैसला ऐसा है जो कि पुरानी बॉल भी ऑप्शन के बाद जो लाइन होती है उस पर यॉर्कर करता है वो. तो एक वो फैसला मैं समझता हूँ कि उसको होना चाहिए था. न्यू बॉल भी बोथ वे स्विंग होती है उसकी. बाकी ये है कि मेरे ख्याल से इस पहले मैच में इनका जो फैसला है मेरे ख्याल से सही है कि पहले टॉस जीत के बैटिंग करने का.
Okay, so Brian, Rashid is of the opinion, and Glenn, that generically teams like to bat second in T20s, but since it's the first match, So he thinks that Williamson was wise enough to bat first. And secondly, he also finds it strange that they have gone without Tim Southee. He says, okay, Trent bowled, okay, but not Tim Southee, who could bowl Yorkers outside the off stump.
Yes, it's a hugely strange decision. I mean, these two guys are a prominent part of the New Zealand outfit for quite some time now. We don't know if there's any niggling injuries in the camp. We can't say from here. But, you know, we just got to see how things play out. Maybe he doesn't want to risk them at this early in the tournament and see exactly, you know, what happened. But it was pretty much a strange announcement.
All right. जी सकी भाई.
जी देखिए जाहिर है जो टॉस जीत के बैटिंग ली है और जिस तरह उन्होंने अपनी टीम बनाई है और अभी जिस तरह बात हो रही है अभी राशिद भाई ने आईसीसी का कहा इंटरनेशनल इंडियन
क्रिकेट का आंसर.
अब आप ये देखो ना कि अभी जो हम लोग मैं पहले बात कर रहा था कि पिच के ऊपर
वैसे इट्स नॉट ट्रू लेकिन चले.
हाँ पिच के ऊपर ये देखें. हाँ नहीं मैं वही कह रहा हूँ वो मजाक में चल रहा है हमें पता है ये मजाक ही हो रहा है सीरियस बात नहीं मगर मैं ये कह रहा था कि देखें अब कंडीशंस जो है वो जो पिच है वो हेल्प करेगी. ओबियसली इंडिया ने अपनी फेवर के अंदर जो भी कुछ है ठीक है आईसीसी का रोल सारा है मगर आप फिर भी कई चीजें अपनी फेवर में लेके जा सकते हो. ये नहीं कि आपके हाथ में कुछ नहीं होता. महारानी में मैं ये समझता हूँ कि जिस जगह पे गेंद टर्न होता है जिस जगह पे गेंद टर्न होता है थोड़े से क्रैक्स होते हैं या रफ पैचेस हैं वहां पे अगर क्वालिटी बॉलर है वो भी बड़ा इफेक्टिव हो जाएगा. एक तो रिवर्स स्विंग मिल सकता है. दूसरा ये है कि अगर वो स्लो बॉल करेगा वो बड़ा इफेक्टिव हो जाएगा. अगर उसको दोनों करने आते हैं अंदर वाला भी और बाहर वाला भी स्लो बाउंसर वो आ जाएगा प्लस बीच में यॉर्कर लगेगा. तो जो स्लो के साथ यानी आपकी जो वेरिएशन होगी एक तो आपकी जो जेन्युइन पेस है वो फिर यॉर्कर के साथ स्लो बॉल ये वाला आएगा ये भी गेम के अंदर आ जाएगा. तो मैं कहता हूं कि अगर जेन्युइन स्किलफुल फास्ट बॉलर है ना वो टर्निंग ट्रैक के ऊपर भी काम कर सकता है. वहां पे आप ये नहीं कि एक पार्ट टाइम बॉलर जिसने कोई गेम चेंजर नहीं है मगर उसको गेंद ऐसे फेंकना आता है आप उसको टीम के अंदर ले लें एज ए कैप्टन. मैं तो कभी भी ऐसा नहीं लूंगा.
So Brian, I hope you understood each and every word because he is saying that on a pitch where the spinners could play havoc and the ball could turn or spin, then if you have a quality fast bowler, he could be a nightmare for the batsman. A slow bouncer, a slow one, or bowling a yorker in between. So he thinks
and reverse swing can come into that.
Reverse swing could come into play. So he thinks that leaving out Tim Southee could really be tricky. But we don't know.
And there's someone who just roll the arm, and he's not have that sort of experience.
He's not impressed by his story at all. He thinks that he's not a good bowler. Saqlain thinks.
Well, I didn't say that. Thinks that, then who are we to argue?
Okay, now Glenn, a bit tricky. That how do you see, because in this part of the world we think that we are part of the polarized cricketing fraternity, where big three are England, Australia and India, and West Indies and Bangladesh, New Zealand, all of us, we are at the receiving end. And particularly now you have to decide the series mutually, and then the influx of money, the broadcasting rights. So obviously you see Australia, India, or England, Australia, England, India playing a lot more than West Indies playing against Pakistan. So do you really think that it has impacted the sport qualitatively, and it could really hurt international sport? Like Packer revolution by default became the game changer in the cricketing world. That became positive.
Yeah, no, I like to see each team play the opposite team equal amounts. You know, you don't want to just have tournaments against, you know, England or against India because they're classed the big three. You know, you want to see, you know, I guess my biggest issue with cricket back home in Australia is the wickets we play on now are so similar, whether it's Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth. The wickets are identical. To be classed a good cricketer or a great cricketer, you've got to be able to adapt to all different conditions, against all different teams, against different bowlers, different batsmen. So that's why I think the more games you play against different opposition, home and away, that's where you find out how good a cricketer you are. So yeah, I'd rather see everyone play each other equal amounts around the world.
And what's the reason that the pitches, they have changed their behaviour in Australia?
I think
drop-in pitches?
Drop-in pitches. Over a 5-day game, the wicket doesn't change at all. You know, there was a test match played in Perth against, in Melbourne against India a couple of years ago, where you could have played 3 weeks after it finished and the wicket would have still been a very good batting wicket. So the fact that the wickets don't deteriorate over 5 days, and there's no real bounce, there's no real grass, it's just hard, flat, and the ball doesn't do a great deal. So it's a little bit too much in favour of batsmen, whereas when I first started playing, you had Sydney turned, Brisbane was grass and went through, the Wacker was quick and bouncy, Adelaide good wicket, but day 4 and 5 would go up and down. So different conditions, bowlers had to learn to bowl in those conditions, batsmen had to learn to bat in those conditions, and I think we're seeing a bigger difference from teams playing home and away now. The gap's too big now, and home game, there's too much a home ground advantage to teams these days, and so I think play more home and away.
So the West Indies team to Australia in 1975, they were unlucky.
Well, back then it was different.
So now we move on to the match and over to Nagpur, and let's see how Martin Guptill starts. Would he be able to fire at all cylinders or not? Game on.
No surprise whatsoever that New Zealand have won the toss and they've decided to have a bat first. It's a pitch that is devoid of grass, no grass to speak of. In fact, the only grass that's on the surface, if we go now and have a look, is the stuff that's drifted on from the outfield. If we have a look here, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, he's had his sparks on when he came out for the toss, and there's just an example of it already, one footprint on there, and it's already starting to crumble. So I think there'll be no assistance for the seamers. Hopefully some swing for them up front. The spinners, I think they will get some assistance from this pitch. It'll break up a little bit and they'll get some purchase, so they will be the big players from the bowling perspective. But in general, a good backing strip here for both teams to exploit. I don't think it'll get worse or much worse as the game goes on. The spinners will definitely play their part, but a good batting surface, maybe a little bit low and slow, but decent to play the first game.
की हाई कैश है सरप्राइज। देख पार्लर लाइफ के 10 रुपए वाले पैक में है लाखों कैश प्राइजेस। लाइफ खाओ कैश कमाओ।
So the pitch is shiny and Rashid thinks that it's not going to turn.
ना मैं इसको बोल रहा हूँ।
That was an off-air comment. Okay. So,
but I disagree, Mr.
with
Glenn, about drop-in pitches.
You think
I love it because I made my first ever 100 on drop-in.
on a drop-in.
There was drop-in.
More drop-in wickets, you'll see batsmen starting to average 60, 70. Yeah, they're just so good. They're just belters. You just pick up the line, hit through the ball, and.
So a word on the pitch?
Which, that one?
Yeah, that one at Nagpur. It's okay.
Slow and low.
We'll find out. It's
slow and low.
It's not going to seam around.
All right.
Probably won't be quick and bouncy.
So, Brian?
To me, it doesn't look like anything above 150, 160.
Okay.
Yeah, no grass. It looks like it will keep low.
Yeah.
The batsman wouldn't take chances too early.
So that justifies Kane Williamson's decision not to play the fast bowlers.
It probably justifies his decision to bat first.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the condition at its best, wicket at its best, whether it changes much throughout the game. Don't know.
Ji Rashid bhai,
जी
quickly, आप क्या समझते हैं pitch पे? Good team selection?
नहीं, टीम सिलेक्शन के साउथी का जैसे बताया था उसका मिसिंग है, लेकिन जैसे बताया कि 150 160 तक तो स्कोर एक बनता है, लेकिन किसी की आउटस्टैंडिंग अगर बैटिंग हो जाए जैसे गप्टिल ने अपने आउटस्टैंडिंग बैटिंग कर दी तो प्लस रन जा सकते हैं.
But do you think that batsmen of Martin Guptill's style could really thrive on such a track?
आप क्यों नहीं कर सकते?
Low, slow.
लो का जब तक बॉल नहीं पड़ जाएगी जब तक हम कैसे कहते हैं लो है.
Okay. आप क्या कहते हैं?
वो श्योर तरीके से नहीं कह रहा कि भाई ये हो, उसने कहा कि हो सकता है, स्लो एंड लो हो सकता है, क्रैक्स जो है वो कह रहे हैं थोड़े से बुरबुरे हैं, मगर वो श्योर नहीं है. वो भी जैसे राशिद भाई ने कहा बिल्कुल एग्री करूंगा इसके ऊपर, और मेरा ख्याल है कि न्यूजीलैंड अपनी स्ट्रेंथ के मुताबिक जा रहा है.
Okay, you think that their strength is like what?
उनकी ये स्ट्रेंथ है.
न्यू बॉल स्किट करेगी यहाँ पे, वैसे लग रहा है शाइनी थोड़ी सी नजर आई थी, स्किट करेगी नया बॉल.
New ball. So you agree, Glenn? He thinks that the new ball may well do a bit on this shiny track. It may well skid.
It'll just skid. It won't it won't bounce that much. It might skid on.
Yeah.
And if they hit the wrong length, it'll be easier for the batsman to hit through the line. But we'll wait and see it. I'm looking forward to the start of the match.
And an easy question for you, Brian. Rohit Sharma, some of the connoisseurs of the game, they think that he has a better technique than Virat Kohli. So how would you compare the two? Because Rohit, he has scored 2 double centuries in one-day cricket, and Virat obviously is Virat. So how do you take...
I don't think there is a comparison.
Okay.
When they travel, who scores more runs? And Virat Kohli definitely stands out in Test cricket, T20 cricket. There's simply no comparison. But on his day, Rohit Sharma, as he's shown in the past, I mean, that world record, 260 plus, I mean, it was just unbelievable. And you got to give him credit for those things. But to me, it's really one top-class batsman in that Indian team that's is sort of world-class at the moment.
Virat Kohli?
Yes.
Okay, so Glenn, you tend to agree? Rohit or Virat?
Yeah, well, they're both quality batsmen. There's no doubt about that. I think Virat's average at T20 cricket is exceptional. Rohit Sharma has done the business day in, day out. But I'd have to agree with Brian. I think Virat's a step above.
So is it the technique or it's overall?
I think it's overall technique, but attitude. To me, skill takes you so far. Attitude takes you the rest of the way, and he's got that attitude where he just, he's aggressive in your face. He's backs himself, and I like that.
That's the key, your mental strength, and he has that.
All right. So you think that Virat is mentally more stronger, and he is delivering.
Yeah, he's in your face. As much part of the world he is. You saw him in Australia recently, and they played that Test series, and he's in the Australian face, and that's not something that is common for Indian players that travel around the world. They tend to be very timid. When they get into their backyard, they're all for it.
Okay, another question. There was a batsman called Brian Charles Lara. You must have seen him bat, and he was not that physically strong. He was supple, but he was not like he was a medium-sized batsman coming in, not as tall as Chris Gale, not as power-packed as Chris Gale, but he could score a 400, a 375, a 277, a 501. So what was like his strength? That was concentration, that was mental attitude?
Yeah, mental strength. I think one of the key things in my game was, you look like a Carl Hooper, and he had the same amount of talent, but I believe that mentally, I felt that you need to be strong, especially in an environment you're in. You're playing against the Australians, and their tails are up. They're going to come after you with the ball, verbally, and everything. And if you're not mentally strong, you're going to fall to the wayside. And I made sure that, I traveled well. I came out to Pakistan, to Australia, and I felt at home, even there was 40,000 people in the stadium. I embraced that atmosphere and made it work for me most of the time.
Did he ever sledge?
No. Mumbled a lot.
Mumbled a lot, but never sledged.
I sledged myself more than I sledged Brian, but there was days when Brian came out and you knew that he was absolutely focused, and 9 times out of 10 you could lock in 100, double 100 for him. He was, you could really see the days when he was really switched on.
Okay, so should I put you in trouble? If you have to compare Sir Vivian Richards with Brian Charles Lara.
Oh gosh, don't do that. Don't do that. Let me answer it for you. Sir Vivian Richards.
So for the guys that I played against, Brian stands out, head and shoulders. I never bowled to Viv, but Viv to me was, a batsman with the ultimate attitude. He just, the way he held himself, his charisma, he's had an aura about him, and Brian had it also. But I think Viv was probably one of the first batsmen I ever saw that just went out there and just owned it, no matter who was bowling to him.
And probably he changed the dynamics of cricket in the mid-1970s. He started hitting and scoring runs, run a ball, because before that you could have about 30 runs in one session.
I spent some time with Viv in the dressing room at the latter part of his career.
All right.
There was no greater guy with an attitude, that, he was just unbelievable, and that arrogance that's bordering, just about there. I think it was just amazing just being around him, and I realized why he was so successful, because he believed in himself a lot.
All right, gee. Where were Brian Charles?
Let's get to the T20 game.
No, we are just going now.
एक बात 277 की एक इनिंग खेली सिडनी में,
1993.
वो मेरे ख्याल से जितनी भी काफी मैंने बैटिंग देखी है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया के खिलाफ 200 ऑस्ट्रेलिया में भी किया, वहाँ वेस्ट इंडीज में भी किया, लेकिन वो इनिंग इसलिए बहुत अच्छी लगी कि शेन वॉर्न को अगेंस्ट द ब्रेक एक्स्ट्रा कवर और मैथ्यूज को मिड विकेट मारता था। मगर अगेंस्ट द ब्रेक अगर किसी बच्चे को सीखना है वो बैटिंग जरूर देखें 277।
Okay, so he thinks that your 277 was an epic, because you were playing against the spin and the Shane Warne and Greg Matthews.
Matthews, I think,
Yes.
off spinner.
G.
जी
Vivian Richards or Brian Lara?
obviously वो right hander ये left hander
Best right hander and best left hander.
इतना बड़ा फर्क है इन दोनों में
फिर भी.
राइट हैंडर लेफ्ट हैंडर इतना बड़ा फर्क है इन दोनों में
Shaki bhai, you
नहीं
are
दोनों
smart.
It's hard to
different
compare
राइट
eras as
हैंडर टू
well.
लेफ्ट हैंडर
Wasim Akram or Glenn McGrath? One left hander.
Wasim Akram.
Probably Wasim was faster than you ever were.
He was faster. He did a lot more with the ball. He probably skill-wise beat me in every area.
You think so? You're being modest.
No, I'm just saying. Well, to me, that's how it is.
All right. Janab, Glenn McGrath or Wasim Akram? Right.
Wasim Akram, best left armer. And Glenn McGrath, best right armer.
So that's simple.
बिल्कुल.
So Glenn McGrath, the best right arm fast. Courtney Watch is coming very strong now.
वसीम अकरम को थोड़ा सा एडवांटेज था सब कॉन्फिडेंट में खेलने का, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जो विकेटें थी ना, वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा जो ऑस्ट्रेलियन बॉलर ने थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम थी, सीम से करते थे, ये थोड़ा सा एक्शन थोड़ा सा वसीम का फोर्स ज्यादा जनरेट करनी पड़ती.
So over to Nagpurji. Finally, the match starts and New Zealand batting first, and we have to wait and see what happens and what is going to be the outcome. We'll be back with the post-match. Obviously, back with Brian Lara, Glenn Magrath, Saqlain Mustaq, and Rashid Latif. This time we are not missing him. So over to Nagpur.